When Pope Francis's sister speaks out about Luis Antonio Tagle, everyone's attention is instantly drawn to the person who could continue Pope Francis's mission. Let's welcome Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle. Tagle, known as the Asian Francis, has long been seen as a continuation of Francis's heart, as well as a potential pope. His humility, compassion, and outreach to the underprivileged reflect all that Francis stood for. He is a communicator who can relate to both the wealthy and the weak, a shepherd with a song, and a theologian with a smile. Pope Francis's sister. Maria Elena Bergoglio's life is not one of celebrity, but rather of intense love, silent fortitude, and an iron determination that captures the essence of a family strained by sorrow and kept together by shame, a family entwined with hardship and faith. When Maria Elena was born, the Bergoglio family was unknown. They were Argentine, straightforward, industrious, and heartfelt. Their mother, Regina Maria Civi, kept the home together with unwavering faith, while their father, Mario Jose Bergoglio, was a quiet man with calloused hands who worked on the railroads. They were wealthy in love rather than wealth. Children rapidly learn what counts in a home like that. The youngest of 5 siblings was Maria Elena. Jorge Mario Bergoglio, the oldest, would go on to become Pope Francis. However, he was only Maria Elena's big brother, providing her with protection when things became tough. The others were Oscar Adrian, Marta Regina, and Alberto Horacio. With their individual aspirations now fulfilled, Maria Elena is the sole heir to their family's heritage, obtaining a protector after losing a parent. Maria Elena was only a young girl when their father passed away. She had something that many others don't, even though most kids break under that kind of loss. Jorge Mario took on the roles of mentor, advisor, and second father in addition to being a brother. He taught her how to laugh through suffering, how to hold her head up even while her heart was sinking, and how to dance the tango. Before we do that, I need your assistance. I need your assistance in reaching my goal of 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Therefore, I would be very grateful if you could subscribe and assist me. He served as her fulcrum, and a part of her accompanied him to Rome. However, the Vatican was unable to sever their connection. Jorge never lost sight of his identity or origins, even after ascending to the position of Pope. He frequently referred to her as Maria Elena. Real love doesn't require titles, therefore there's no need for fuss. The world applauded when Jorge was selected as Pope Francis in 2013. However, Maria Elena shed tears. It wasn't that she wasn't proud. She was, but only because she understood its significance, responsibility, load, and distance. She also prayed that he wouldn't be selected. In a moment of unadulterated candor, she eventually acknowledged that it was self-centered. However, I feared that I was losing my brother to the outside world. Is she to blame? Imagine how painful it would be to see someone you care about become into everyone else's. Many people can identify with this experience, observing family members stray because life drew them in a different direction. However, Maria Elena refrained from allowing that resentment to grow. She elected to donate the travel funds to charity, remained grounded, and declined to attend his inauguration at his request. She is the type of woman that she is, with a heart that could move mountains, despite the quiet surroundings. Maria Elena remained secluded in Argentina, despite the world's obsession with Pope Francis. Just honesty? No book deals, no celebrity interviews. She didn't talk about herself when she did. It was done to reveal her brother's true nature to the world, a man as well as a pope, a man who read her bedtime stories and swept floors. She has referred to him as tough enough to be the church's leader. He still has the same sense of humor and stubbornness, she claimed. She doesn't mince words. And since her comments have a genuineness that is uncommon in a world of well-manicured identities, people pay attention. Mother, warrior, and survivor. With the same calm strength she possessed as a child, Maria Elena reared her own family. One of her children, Cristina Bergoglio, is a well-known artist in Madrid who chose to use a paintbrush instead of a cross to carve her own name. Jose Ignacio Bergoglio, another youngster, has talked about their family's history with a mixture of humility and pride. However, being a mother or sister isn't the only aspect of Maria Elena's tale. It has to do with surviving. She was admitted to the hospital in 2015. Despite the threat to her health, she remained composed. She grinned. She struggled. She also didn't voice any complaints when questioned about it afterwards. Rather, she talked about how humor kept them going when all else failed, and how they laughed through tears. After order to remind herself, that love endures even after death. She keeps the memories of her siblings, the late Alberto, Marta, and Oscar, like priceless artifacts. My family has experienced a great deal of grief, tears, and suffering. But even during the most trying periods, we have encountered laughter and smiles that have given us the strength to go back on track. This quote encompasses more than simply her life. It is defined by it. It reflects the universal reality that laughter is the first glimmer of hope, even in the darkest depths. It strikes a different chord when it comes from someone who has lost more than the majority of us will ever. It recovers. Maria Elena is the unseen force behind Pope Francis's efforts to change the Catholic Church's reputation via teachings of compassion, simplicity, and reform. She first lived by those principles. They were ingrained in her spirit not because the cameras were on. She doesn't appear on magazine covers. She is not a mass bearer. She has, however, quietly reminded everyone that humility is not a sign of weakness. It is the strongest attribute. That might be the most important lesson she ever taught her brother. Have you ever managed to keep your family together during a time of loss? Have you ever stayed behind while your sibling took off? Maria Elena's tale is also your story if you have ever chosen love over jealousy, trust over fear, or silence over attention. She serves as a reflection of the unsung heroes. Those who maintain the flame of love burning in the shadows rather than chasing attention. Before we do that, I need your assistance. I need your assistance in reaching my goal of 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Therefore, I would be very grateful if you could subscribe and assist me. The predictions of Vatican insiders on the next pope, in addition to leaving a huge void in Catholicism, Pope Francis's passing has put the Church into one of the most uncertain papal elections in modern history. And if you're a traditionalist who yearns for change, this moment may resonate with you on a deep level. Everything changed with Pope Francis. He appointed over 80% of the 135 cardinal electors who will enter the Sion Chapel in early May. This implies that his impact will be significant, yet not in a clear-cut or linear manner. Francis refrained from flooding the college with imitators. He selected guys from many nations, civilizations, and theological backgrounds. All that remains is a mingling pot of thoughts, aspirations, and spiritual perspectives. And that's why calling this conclave is so difficult. Vatican insiders concur, ranging from seasoned journalists to former diplomats. The conclave in 2025 is a political and spiritual wild card. There is only a worldwide church looking for a shepherd at a period of extreme uncertainty. There is no obvious frontrunner or consensus choice. In reality, what are the cardinals searching for? It has nothing to do with age or charisma. This isn't an interview for a job. It is a holy judgment. Without a doubt, though, the cardinals are looking for traits that are important in the hectic world of today. Reformist ethos or conventional foundation. Will the next pope restore the Church to its pre-Fries identity, or carry on Francis's reforms? Administrative prowess. Can the new leader heal global scars and oversee Vatican bureaucracy? Heart of a pastor. Is he able to go in the mud, weep with the people, and show empathy? Worldwide viewpoint. Can he serve as pope, not only for Rome but for the entire world? The metrics are those. The stakes are that high. And those questions permeate every handshake and whisper that takes place behind closed doors. Let's go over the names that are discussed the most. Because these are the men with Vatican watchers leaning forward, and nobody can predict what will happen. Italy's Pietro Parolin, 70. The safe hands of the Vatican. Since he is currently the Secretary of State, he serves as the Church's principal diplomat. Calm, calculating, and well knowledgeable. It is believed that Parolin acts as a stabilizing influence. He is a centrist with the ability to maintain the Vatican engine. Markets for betting adore him. He is highly regarded by AI algorithms, and many traditionalists subtly admire him. Here's the problem, though. Concerns have been raised by Parolin's prior participation in the contentious China-Vatican agreement. Furthermore, others question whether he is too much of a bureaucrat and not enough of a shepherd given his lack of pastoral practice. Philippines, Luis Antonio Tagle, 67, the Francis of Asia. Francis would have had a spiritual son in Tagle. Deeply adored in the global South, he is articulate, emotional, and a living example of kindness and compassion. Tagle, who is well known for sobbing during sermons and giving homeless people hugs, has the potential to inspire a new generation of Catholics. He also represents the Church's transition from Europe to Asia and Africa. In a society that is Raging for justice and inclusivity, Tagle feels like a welcome change. However, there are inquiries. Following Tagle's leadership of the Vatican's reorganization of Caris Internationalis, several insiders question his administrative acumen. Italy's Matteo Zuppi 69, the pastor of the people. The silent storm is Zuppi. He is adored while not being ostentatious, renowned for promoting peace and collaborating with underrepresented communities. Zuppi is a Francis supporter, who infuses the red hat with a grounded faith. He has also played a significant role in Italy's efforts to aid refugees and engage in interfaith dialogue. He is viewed by Vatican insiders as a possible bridge builder. Weak point. He lacks a great deal of political expertise in Vatican conclaves where momentum is made or broken. Hungary's Peter Erdo, 72. The religious superpower Erdo is a conservative voice and an authority in canon law. Cardinals who believe Francis went too quickly will find him appealing. Erdo might be the church's man if they want to change, a return to order. But watch out. His tough posture can turn off progressives and those from the global south who prefer less control and more compassion. Ghana, Peter Turkin, 76. The mediator of peace. Turkin is a formidable figure. He has worked on issues like economic fairness, peacemaking, and climate change. An effective communicator and bridge builder. He might be the first African pope in more than 1,000 years. However, according to some insiders, there are still obstacles in the way of an African pope, in spite of the symbolic value it would have. Mark Eula, 80, Canada, the veteran from Vatican. Well, has pastoral appeal and is a conservative. He has been there for ages and is intimately familiar with the Curia. However, given his advanced age of 80 and current scandals, his window may be closed. Voting does not begin a conclave. They begin with late-night arguments, whispered discussions, and the delicate art of reaching an agreement during the general gatherings. Coalitions are formed in this way. That's where compromise candidates emerge and frontrunners wane. Conclaves, as Vatican insiders remind us, are not wars. Their discussions were infused with prayer. Furthermore, the most favored applicant entering is frequently not the one who emerges. Despite not being imprisoned in camps, the cardinals all have ideas on where the church should go. Finding someone who can come together rather than just win is the difficult part. Markets for betting, artificial intelligence, and the Pope prediction game. Indeed, algorithms are working to figure out who will be the future Pope. AI systems analyze everything, including historical trends and public opinion. Betting websites adjust their odds frequently in response to worldwide conjecture and insider rumors. Poland is currently at the top of several AI lists, but Tagle and Turkin are not far behind. There is no magic in these models. Although they are unable to read hearts, they can tell us the direction of the world's winds. However, even the most intelligent AI acknowledges that this election is the most unexpected in history. The possibility, not simply the uncertainty, is what gives this moment its force. A pope from Asia or Africa was seen for the first time in modern history. We might witness the church make yet another audacious move toward the periphery, empathy, and humanity. Your hopes are wrapped in this conclave if you've ever thought that faith should be more like the actual world, that it should touch dirt, heal wounds, and listen rather than preach, because the next pope will be more than just a church leader. He will influence legislation, mold hearts, and bear the burden of souls across continents. A power grab is not what we are witnessing. We are seeing a spiritual awakening. Everything will shift once more as white smoke rises and everyone waits anxiously to hear the name called from the Loya. And you'll recognize this whether it's Erdo, Parolin, Tagle, Zuppi, or someone else different. The church continues to exist, struggle, and reach. Therefore, don't merely observe, feel, possess, and hope for it. For there is more to this than politics. It is a manifestation of prophecy.